So we're going to go into structure and platform now. And this is very important, right? This is the foundation of your entire website. It's like the foundation of your house. You can have beautiful paint and nice windows, but if your foundation is really poor, you are going to have some problems. So this is an important thing to think about. Really, the first step usually people take is they figure out, well, what are the sections of our website we want to have? What are the individual pages we want to have, right? How is our website's content information and interactivity and all of that going to be mapped out? So we will create a visual map we call a site map, which is just a hierarchy of every section and page on your website. And we usually have a nice little legend for this that helps you understand the map. We may even put in the map elements like important CTAs or links that go out to things like your donation platform or a volunteer form or something. And we'll put in there too a little bit of information on how we hope the user to flow through the site. This is a super, super critical too if you want to serve more than one audience, which is typical, especially with nonprofits. You're going to have some kind of probably donors or funders or volunteers or other types of people. And then the people you actually serve with your services and your mission, most have at least two fairly distinct audiences, but you may have more. You may have a lot more than that. So this is a good step to make sure all your audiences are served with a navigation or structure that will actually make sense. A big one, of course, is the content management system. What is your site built on? I'm sure no one is building a site from scratch. I really hope you're not. That is definitely not the way to do it anymore, not this day and age. So picking a content management system is super important. We pretty much use WordPress for basically everything. We will sometimes use HubSpot or a tool that maybe is a site building and sort of automation tool, maybe if automation is super important or things like that. But for the most part, it is WordPress. I mean, it powers tens or maybe I think it's hundreds of millions of websites now, and it's pretty much almost a de facto standard. So, but when you pick your CMS, you really want to consider, the requirements. What are your requirements? What does your donation platform integrate with if you want to have it integrated, or if you want to have your entire donation system inside of your website? Will the CMS support that? WordPress has many phenomenal plugins, many free for e-commerce and donations and stuff. So, third-party tools, will it integrate? Well, do you have the staff to support the CMS? Are they going to be able to learn it and use it and be able to update your site? Or, are you working with an agency or someone, and, what do they have expertise in? And a big one now, too, a really big one, as we are approaching 10, 15 years ish of content management systems being the norm, now many of them are reaching end of life and actually not being updated anymore. That's a big deal with Drupal. Drupal is sunsetting a few of theirs versions, and there's a lot of people on that. And that you really want to avoid using any sort of system for your website that is end of life or out of date, because that means there's no updates coming out for it. There could be security issues, other issues, that hackers can take advantage of, and there's going to be no way to fix it because they're not actively working on that system, right? You for sure don't want to keep it outdated either. Even if you're on a modern one like WordPress, make sure you're not way behind in the version. We do have a question I'll just answer quick because it's about content management systems. Craft CMS, I actually don't know that one very well. I've heard of it in passing. Really, the big ones for nonprofits, and actually most of the whole web really seem to be, there's sort of the hosted options. There's hosted options like Squarespace, Wix, stuff like that, which can be extremely limiting. Most people choose not to go that route. They're very limited. You're playing in someone else's sandbox, really. And then there's the WordPress, and there's a couple others. There's Drupal and a few other ones that are definitely open source like WordPress. So it's free, but they're not nearly as easy to use. So unfortunately, I don't have more information on the Craft CMS, but I'll take a look at that. Interactivity is another thing you want to plan out. You really want to plan out anything that people interact with. If you have a chat, a scheduling system to book an appointment, or a map of locations, or forms people fill out, or any call to action or CTA, or when, if you have a pop-up or something. So you want to consider all the interactivity of those and consider the accessibility. Anytime you go beyond a page and enter to something that's interactive where the user has to click things and enter information, of course, that's where accessibility becomes even more important. And if you're not on top of that, a lot of that stuff won't work for people who aren't just using a standard computer. Also, those things typically need to be styled. So keep that in mind. You really don't want your pop-ups or your chat or something else you're using or embedding in your site to just like look completely different, and off brand. So that's another important thing considering these other third-party things. Can you style it to match your brand and your colors and, look like it's part of the site?